Today, we are doing my version of a French classic that I hope doesn't land me in French patisserie jail. We are doing my Extra Fruity Clafoutis. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. If this is your first time tuning in, let us know you're out there by giving us a big thumbs up below and then hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss a video. Now, let's start cooking. So you might ask, what is a clafoutis? If nothing but a funny word, and it's a lot of fun to say. Well, a clafoutis is basically a custard that has flour added to it that's been baked. And it can be sweet or it can be savory, and it's a real classic in France. And a lot of times it's made with fresh fruits of the summer. So, you know, blueberries, blackberries, cherries, raspberries, all kinds of different fruits. So today I decided, because what we have fresh is blueberries. Got some fresh blueberries here, and we have just a rash of rhubarb in our garden. So I've got some rhubarb here, and then we've got some melon, some orange melon, and of course the States we would call cantaloupe. Here in France they call it melon. So we are making a clafoutis with all these different fruits, so that's why the name Extra Fruity Clafoutis. So our ingredients, of course, are our fruits, and then our mixture for baking are going to be, we've got about a cup of milk, I've got a 1/4 cup of cream, I've got 3 eggs, I've got a 1/2 cup of flour, just all-purpose flour, and I've got about a 1/2 cup of sugar, which we're going to divide. We're going to put some in the fruit and some in the mixture, and some we're going to use for glaze. And then some flavorings. So we've got a little bit of vanilla. We'll put about a teaspoon of vanilla in our mixture. And you know, you could use some almond extract. Don't have any, so next best thing is Amaretto. So we'll just use a little drip of Amaretto, and then we're going to use some fresh nutmeg. We're just going to grind some fresh nutmeg into our mixture, and just a little pinch of salt. Of course, anytime you're baking, a little pinch of salt makes a huge difference. Now you see this bottle of balsamic vinegar here. What we're doing with this is, and I don't know if you've seen my recipes that include balsamic strawberries, we're going to do basically the same thing with our blueberries. So we have drizzled a little bit of the balsamic vinegar onto our blueberries. We've added a little bit of sugar to that and a little bit of black pepper. Now in our case today, we're trying to reduce the amount of sugar. These are very sweet blueberries, so I've actually added a little bit of something called swerve, which is a brown sugar substitute. But it's a very nice flavor, not quite as sweet as a brown sugar, but it gives a really, really nice kind of a caramelized flavor to that. And we've also been macerating, which means basically marinating fruit in a mixture of just a little bit of sugar and some pineapple juice. You could use orange juice, any kind of acid that you want, because what you need to do with rhubarb is, first of all, we need to roast it, so it needs to be partially cooked. And rhubarb is very, very tart, so it really does take a fair amount of sugar. You really have to use sugar in it. So those are going to be the interior parts of our clafoutis, and then we're just going to top it with some strips of our melon, and then we're actually going to glaze it. Once we're going to drain our rhubarb from this macerating liquid, then we are going to boil this liquid until it's really down to a syrup, and we're going to use that for a glaze for the top of our clafoutis. And we're just going to brush that on. So those are our ingredients. Let's start cooking. Our rhubarb is now roasted. As you can see, it's a little bit caramelized, a little bit dry, but it's still very moist inside. So that's going to be part of our filling, as well as our berries. And we've got our cantaloupe back here. But the first thing that we want to do, or the thing that we want to do right now, actually, is we're going to butter our dish. So I've chosen, you could use many different dishes for this, but I've just chosen a large glass tart pan. And we're just going to liberally butter this, just so nothing sticks. So there's our dish, and it's ready for our filling. And anytime I'm baking something, especially with a liquid filling, it's great to just put it on a larger pan so that you don't have any overflow messes. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just to make our custard mixture. And for that, we are simply just going to put it in a blender, because we don't want any lumps in this batter. And I mean, it's not going to kill us if we do have lumps, but it's just a lot easier to make the mixture very smooth by using a mixer. Okay, and in with our flour, in with our milk, our cream, and I'm going to put probably 3/4 of our sugar. The fruit should be fairly sweet, so I'm not going to worry about putting all that sugar in there. Again, the sugar is really to your liking. You could even use a sugar substitute if you wanted. And then now just a little pinch of salt, probably a 1/4 teaspoon of salt is all we need. And I'm going to put about a teaspoon of vanilla, just vanilla extract, and just a couple of drops of Amaretto. And again, you could certainly use almond extract if you had that. And now our nutmeg. And as I always say, I really like grating my nutmeg in fresh. It's just a lot different flavor than a powdered nutmeg. And of course, a little bit of nutmeg goes a long way, especially when it's fresh. Let's get it mixed up. And now, again, this part you could certainly do in a bowl with a whisk, but I really want to make sure that we have no bubbles and no lumps in the mixture. And we're just doing it on a medium speed. It doesn't need to be a real high speed because we're not trying to get any bubbles. Okay, that's great for our mixture. And we are now ready to put our clafoutis together. Now, in the meantime, we have brought the juices that we had from the rhubarb. We have brought those to a boil on a medium flame, and we've just let that reduce to a syrup. And what we're going to do with this is we're just going to brush it over as a glaze on the top of our clafoutis. So now, just to put everything together, we're just going to add our rhubarb, and let's add our blueberries. Very good. And now what we'll do is just spread those out evenly in our dish, or somewhat evenly, something like that. And now let's just add our liquid. Okay, so that's it for our liquid. And now what we want to do is you want to tap down. If you see that you've got bubbles or air pockets, it helps to just tap this down on your countertop just to make sure that you don't have bubbles. And again, having a few bubbles is not going to be the end of the dessert. It just makes a better appearance. And now to finish it, we are just going to lay our fruit on top. Just like so. And just whatever pattern you want. And of course, you don't have to get your melon quite as thin as we've gotten here, but I just thought it would make a nice looking little nice pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven, and we're going to let it go for probably about 15 minutes. Let it start setting up a little bit, and then we'll brush our glaze over the top of our melon. Okay, into the oven. And again, our oven is, I've actually got my oven on 195 centigrade, which is probably about 395 Fahrenheit. We will put that in there, and in about 10-15 minutes, we will put our glaze on it, and we'll put it back in for another 15 or 20 minutes. With the clafoutis, what you want is you want it to be set, but then slightly jiggly in the center. So it's, you know, depending on many different factors, you want to make sure that you don't overcook it. So that's it, and we'll take it out in about 15 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes, and let's take our clafoutis out, and let's do a little bit of our glaze. Oh, it's looking beautiful. Look at that. It'd be even better if I don't drop it. Now, just a little bit of our glaze. And we don't want to leave this out too long, because we've got some nice puffiness going, and we don't want to lose that. So we will quickly put it back in and let it continue cooking. And we'll check it again in another 20 minutes or so. Well, it's been about another 15 minutes since we put our clafoutis back in, and I'm going to go ahead and check it because it's a fairly thin one, and the last thing you want to do is overcook it. And oh, looks fantastic. Okay, so our clafoutis, I'm going to take it off the pan. And when you take this out, you want it to be just slightly jiggly in the center, although this one it's fairly thin, so it's not jiggling a whole lot. So we're hoping we haven't overcooked it. Pretty sure we haven't, because when I put my knife in, it's still getting a little bit custardy. Once it cools down and sets up, that will of course solidify, and it'll be absolutely perfect. So that's our clafoutis, and clafoutis is really best enjoyed once it's cooled down and had a chance to set up a little bit more. So we're going to let this cool down, and then we'll give it the old taste test. All right, our extra fruity clafoutis is our extra fruity clafoutis. Our extra fruity clafoutis is done, and it's ready to taste. So let's give it a try. I'm just gonna go right on this side. Oh, so for our service, let's just actually have a little swipe of our sauce on the plate. And now we've got a slice cut. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Nice density. We've got our fruit going all the way through it. Very nice. And for fun, let's just add just a tad of powdered sugar over the top. And of course, you know, if you wanted, you could certainly add a little bit of extra fruit on top, some blueberries or some any other fruits that you might have as well. All right, it is time to give this clafoutis a taste, and let's just go right. I just love the way the nice melon fell right into the beautiful pattern on the top. It is absolutely phenomenal. Very custardy, but it's a custard that has been set up with a little bit of the flour. And I really think that, you know, you could eat this, of course, warm, or you could eat it cool, room temperature, as we are now. If you were to eat it, serve it warm, you might want to serve it with a little bit of, you know, sorbet, a little creme fraiche sorbet, or a little ice cream, or even a little bit of heavy whipping cream. But wow, it's just wonderful. You get the nice, a little bit of tang from the rhubarb in there. You got the blueberries, and then you finish it with the nice sweetness of the melon on top. Combined with the depth of flavor of that custard, it's a real winner. So next time you have a nice ladies luncheon, or you want to have a brunch treat, this is something that could be made at a day ahead. You can make it in the morning and take it for the afternoon. You can make it the day before. It's just a fantastic recipe for a dessert. And it's easy. As you can see, it's very easy. You don't have to do the fancy cutting. You can just put the fruits that you want into it. But I think you'll enjoy this recipe. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As you can see, it's quite an easy recipe and it's just so delicious. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up down below and be sure and subscribe to our channel. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell so that you get notified every time we release a new video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.